Okay, welcome back, and always fun to have Dave Dotterrer in the studio with us today, and he's a retired colonel from the Marine Corps, and we thank you for your service. And he's also a candidate for the state senate. What district is that?
District 3.
District 3.
Southern Jackson County.
Southern Jackson County. It takes in all of those areas, and your opponent is sitting Democratic Senator Alan Bates. But you're here to talk about that and a bunch of things. But let's get into it. Covered Oregon seems to be a mess.
Well, it's terrible, and we're last. We were when this was put together. I remember the discussions that were going on in the legislature.
Right.
And the legislators were told Oregon's going to be on the cutting edge, and we're way ahead of everybody else. And this is going to go very, very well. And the feds gave us, the federal government gave us
$245 million.
A boatload of money.
Yeah.
Lots of money, because they said, you know, here's somebody who's really on the cutting edge, is out there in front of everybody, really wants to jump into this, and look where we are. They just announced that we're dead last in signups.
Well, of course, this all is a bounce from the Oregon Health Plan, which had some traction.
Yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, you know, one of the issues, kind of what you do as a strategist, is when you got a problem, and when you're looking at a problem, you need to step back from it and look at the bigger issue here. We can talk about the sign up and the website and can you keep your doctor, all those things, and they're all important. But the answer is that when I look at this, I say, you know, we all were of the opinion that there was a problem with our healthcare system, in spite of the fact that 80% of Americans were happy with their healthcare. But we all knew that the system needed to be changed, and it needed to be improved and reformed. But instead, if you start with a faulty premise, no matter how good your analysis, you end up with a faulty conclusion. Well, if you start with a premise that insurance companies are evil and insurance companies need to somehow be controlled, you end up with this analysis that tells you, well, I need to control this system, and you need to take it over. Yeah. And if the government just controlled this, it would work. Well, that has turned out to be faulty. It's a faulty premise. It gets you to a faulty conclusion. And so at the end of the day, you look at this, and it's not as much about health care as it is about control. How
can the governor, and I realize he announced yesterday he's going to go for an unprecedented fourth term. This is his champion piece of legislation, at least it was when it was the Oregon Health Plan, when he was governor previously. How can he go out and champion this as A, working, B, it's going to answer all the things that you just addressed, C, we can afford it? How can he possibly run on any of that?
I don't see how he can. I think people are going to have to stop and step back and say, okay, what pieces of this are better? But this idea that you can take over and control the entire, something as complex as our health delivery system in the United States, much less in Oregon, to me, I think a good word to use for that would be hubris. What is the hubris of somebody who believes that they really know how to run this? And that's what this is. That's what bothers me more than anything about this, because we know that we have systems that when all of us have freedom and make choices, most people are able to make their own choices, and they can take care of it. But all of a sudden we say, oh, you need to control this, and we'll take care of it. And so yes, you don't like, you like your health care plan. Well, we've decided that that's not a good enough health care plan for you, so we'll decide what that health care plan is like. So
where did the $245 million go that came from the feds?
Well, first off, 75, 80 million of it went just to build the website. I mean, the website is...
Okay, look, why aren't we asking for a refund on these failed websites? Why isn't the federal government asking for a refund from the company that it's up over $600 million, and you're saying 75, 80 million?
For basically in Oregon. That's cover Oregon, and the rest of it, well, look at all those ads they put out there.
Yeah, right. Okay, that was $10 million ad campaign.
Absolutely.
Which is the dumbest campaign I've ever seen in my life.
Well,
I didn't know what they were selling.
Well, I know, but it was interesting. They came in and briefed the legislature on that.
Really? I thought they were selling the Farmer's Almanac or something.
Well, they claimed that that they had a plan laid out, that this was going to be sequential. And well, you're not going to like what we've got so far, but we're just setting the stage, and then we're going to go to the next stage. And you listen to this, You know how sometimes you're listening to somebody tell you their plan, and this little antenna goes up in the back of your neck, and it kind of waves around a little bit, and you go, you know what? This doesn't sound right.
Doesn't pass the smell test.
There's another good way to say it. You know, as this rocket scientist analyst once told me, you know, when he looked at an analysis, he said, Dave, this just doesn't pass the smell test.
Okay,
so,
well, let me ask you this. You're, drawing on your former military experience, when a program failed in the military, did you keep it going?
No.
What'd you do?
You shoot it.
Well,
you step back from it and you ask yourself the larger strategic question: what did we set out to do here?
Right.
Okay. Now, obviously, we're not getting there, so there must be a plan that we need to change, because we in the military believe that no plan survives first contact with the enemy anyways, so you're just going to have to change it. Okay, I get that. So what are we going to change to? Let's sit down and in a bipartisan way figure out how we're going to do this. So, because we do know that there's a lot of problems with it, but you know, back to your $200+ million, I've heard people actually say, well, that's federal money. And I look around the room and I say, well, wait a minute.
Still came out of your pocket.
Absolutely. Yeah. Who in this room is not a federal taxpayer?
Yeah.
And all. And so you just look at you look at that, and as you watched it, let me give you another example. I checked with some of the folks that I work with in the legislature, and the legislature has a committee that's supposed to be formed called the Audit and IT Committee. Okay, and they're an oversight committee. You notice IT, information technology. And so I asked this guy, I said, well, during the 2013 session, in that almost 6 months, how many times did that committee meet?
No kidding. Zero. Oh.
Zero. They never, so they never brought them in and said, okay, let's sit down. Now, Dennis Richardson did. I can tell you, I was in several meetings with him in which he brought in an analyst from the legislature and the people from Cover Oregon, sat them down at the table just like this, and they went back and forth. And again, that little antenna kept coming up and stuff like that. You could see that there was going to be problems, but they kept assuring us that, don't worry about it, we're going to fix this. We've got the resources to do this. Well, that's not panned out. And so this legislative oversight is what bothers me a lot.
All right. Now, let's say you get elected to the Senate and you go in there. What can be done? I mean, we citizens are so frustrated because not only at the state level, but at the national level, we're sitting back, we're the average citizens out there, we get it, this thing's a mess, let's stop it, let's start over. We can't seem to penetrate this bureaucratic wall out there. We can't see them, they're not listening, they're not saying, stop this.
Yeah, stop.
You know,
you're absolutely right. You need to elect legislators that are going to say, time out.
Yeah.
This is not working.
Right.
Okay, now, let's hit the pause button, and now we'll sit down in a bipartisan way and work through this, because it was clearly a partisan solution, and so those are the things that really need to be done at the state legislative level. You just got to recognize that, again, it's not working, and so there are pieces of it that are working. There's the coordinated care organizations, for example. That's working out okay. There's some pieces of this that you don't want to throw that out. But what bothers me is what we essentially did was we decided that because the system was in such bad shape, we had to throw the baby out with the bathwater in a lot of cases, and we completely took it over, and that's not the way we do business.
Well, we're starting to see pushbacks now. I know in California, 7 out of 10 doctors are saying, no, fine us, so we don't care. I mean, we'd rather not do anything than get wrapped up in this thing. When you're starting to see those kind of pushbacks, are we heading towards some kind of a insurrection? Are we heading towards some kind of a constitutional crisis? I mean, both at the state and the federal level, because we got a governor and a president that seems to be modifying things on the fly. I mean, how can they do that?
Yeah, they can't. They can't do that.
But we don't have the power to push it back.
No, that's right. And that's where, again, this is something that your elected representatives should be doing, which is because they have the power of the purse. They're the ones that should be setting the policy. And the policy was set wrong. Now, what's the mechanism for undoing this? And you're not going to see a lot of people. Remember, once you get intellectually invested in something, the answer tends to be, if I just do more of it. Okay, well, we just didn't do enough. Yeah. And that's clearly the wrong thing to do here. We're on the wrong path.
All right. Now, you're running against Alan Bates. He is a physician, and I know he's championed or the Oregon Healthcare Plan a lot, heavily. I haven't talked to him since the Cover Oregon, which is the new name on the same thing. But you would think as a physician he would be against this thing, but he's still pushing it. Do you have any idea why?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, he believes in a single-payer system. So he believes that eventually we are going to end up at a single payer. So as you march down that path toward a single payer, one of the dangers that I see with Cover Oregon is that all of a sudden people say, you guys are absolutely right, it did fail. See, what we really need is...
Well...
Yeah, now... I believe in the minds of an awful lot of people...
That's the ultimate...
That's the ultimate solution. So in a sense, for them, it's almost a victory that it doesn't succeed in its initial pieces, because then they can say, well, see, we need to move here.
That sounds very conspiratorial, but do you think that's possible? I'm not saying that against you, but
no.
But if on the national level, this thing is such a mess. Let's throw it all out. Let's just tax everybody and go to single payer.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
Yes. I think I believe in a lot of people's minds that is the ultimate solution. Yeah. And Alan has said on numerous occasions that he believes that eventually we will end up with a single payer system. Okay. So now you have to look at, is this just an interim solution that we're looking at that moves us to this, or what is it? Where are we? And you don't have to be conspiratorial. You just have to watch. Just watch the trends.
It appears that they really wanted this system to work, but now that it's failed, they have the ultimate default, which is single payer.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow, what a mess.
Perry, you can't make this up.
No, you can't. I don't think there's a novel person out there that writes novels that could come up with this one.
Right.
Let me shift you real quick to one of your heartstrings, Toys for Tots.
Oh,
how's it going?
Oh, it's going well. We're getting toys in. We're getting a lot of toys in.
What do people do that want to get involved in it?
Well, if they want to get involved in it, there are numerous places. Every fire station, for example, and what we're asking for
is banks, I think, too.
Like in Ashland, we put out 18 boxes. Banks, real estate agencies, car dealerships, the fire station, the police station, all those. And what they're looking for is new, unwrapped toys. Because what we're going to do again this year is we're going to go back to bringing the parents in to the room and let them shop for their children and walk through the room. And they pick the toy for their child. We don't bag it.
So unwrapped toys. If you see the Toys for Tots boxes in any of these establishments, I was in the bank yesterday. I looked in there. There's a bunch of things in there. I thought this is great.
Yeah.
So when do parents come and how do
that's what the distribution is going to be on the 21st.
Okay.
And we're picking up toys all next week. And there's a website.
Okay.
There's a website for the Rogue Valley distribution, and it's through the Marine Corps League. And the reason the Marine Corps League here does this is there's no Marine Reserve unit to do this in the Rogue Valley. So the Marine Corps League has taken this on, and it's really grown. For example, I'm getting a lot of support from Southern Oregon University's Army ROTC cadets. They're helping me. So I got the Army helping the Marines, and you go, this is bipartisanship. This is how
military bipartisanship.
This is military bipartisanship. We know how to make this work. So it's really great to have them help us.
Let me encourage you folks, if you're out going around, look, there's a lot of needs out there, and you just kind of go where the Lord's leading you to go. I know Salvation Army's hams and turkeys, so does the Gospel Mission. And if you are buying toys and you see one of these Toys for Tots boxes in any of these establishments, drop it in there. And it really, and unwrapped, I think that's the key. So you can create the shopping environment for parents who need to do this. What an incredible, and this has been going on for years, hasn't it?
It's in 1947, and I believe the last number I saw was that since 1947, the Marine Corps Reserve, through the Toys for Tots program, has handed out 37 million toys.
Really?
It's one of the largest nonprofits, charities in the United States. It's huge.
I've seen various groups get behind it, motorcycle groups and everybody else, going around grabbing up toys.
Right. No, you're right. You sometimes you go look around and you say, wow, what a diverse group of people supporting this. But it's all for a good thing.
Oh, it really is.
Yeah,
all right, so check it out.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, this is interesting times, and I would assume things are going to heat up campaign-wise
Sure.
after the first of the year as you get going. But you don't have an opponent, do you, in the primary?
In the primary, no.
Okay.
No.
So it'll be primarily you and Alan. And, I know Alan personally. He's a good guy. We agree to disagree on all these issues. But I was just kind of scratching my head. What's the motivation of a physician on Obamacare, which really does them under? And then I think you fast forwarded to the single payer issue, and I go, oh, well, there it is.
Yeah, yeah. You know, the folks that put this together have got to own this. This is where we are.
Will the American public trust those who gave us Obamacare and cover Oregon and say, all right, that's a mistake. We're going to trust you now to give us single payer?
I hope not. Okay. I hope not.
I mean,
no, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Because what makes you think that if they can't make Obamacare work, they can make single payer work? You know, and people say, well, these other countries do it. We're not these other countries.
Yeah.
You know,
This is America.
This is America. America does things differently.
Yeah. Called capitalism.
Right. Yeah. And we have the state federalist system, and we're constitutionally different.
All right. Good. Hey, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. Good seeing you.
Don't forget
again.
Toys for Tots. Look for it in banks, real estate offices, car dealerships, or wherever you see one of those Toys for Tots boxes. If you can afford and your budget allows, grab a toy, don't wrap it, stick it in those boxes, and it'll be distributed to needy families within the next week or so. We'll see you next time.